Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in Ayutthaya, and I'm just to the north of the old island, kind of out here in a plain where they used to grow rice and stuff like that. And we're going to take a look at Wat Chong Krom. And it's a temple that not too many people know about, but it is in really good shape for an old ruin. They don't know when it was built. They know that from doing excavation and stuff here, they can date it back to the early Ayutthaya era. And it was abandoned in 1767 when the Burmese captured the city and conquered Ayutthaya. They abandoned it, and then later on monks came back here in the early Bangkok era and they set up again on this temple, but it's abandoned now. So we're going to look around here and we're going to see what we see. That was kind of a random thing. While I was getting ready to do some stuff here, this little old lady here, I passed her on the road coming in, and she has a bag of limes, and she was trying to give me some limes. And then she wanted to know what I was doing. Kind of funny. So you can see what the ruins look like, and it's covered in these nice trees. There's a couple buildings that are still in fairly decent shape, along with some chedis, and then there's a nice chedi that's way back there in the back. That'll be the highlight of what we want to see. So let's go inside here and take a quick look. Now there's a lot of trees, but I'll still try to get the drone out and fly it around. I just want to see how that chedi looks from up above. Now this is the site itself, and they've done a nice job with restoring this temple. And the upkeep is pretty decent here also. The brush is not overgrown. And this is a massive site with nobody out here. You can see here, this is the wall, and the gate would have had an arch going over the top of it. And then we have this nice chedi that's right here that has the stairwells around the 4 cardinal directions. And then we would have had some other smaller little chedis and shrines and stuff right here. You can see the bases of them. And some people have put a little spirit house here. And this would have been the top, the very top of the chedi. And it's just right over here next to it. And then we have some various halls. These 2 halls here are aligned, north and south, with the chedi behind the old, I think this is the old ubosot here. No, this is the wihan. This is the ubosot over here, which is the ordination hall. You can see the bases here for the marker stones, and we'll look at it next. Let's look at this chedi right quick. So this would have had a rail around it, and it would have had notches right there for the little images. They would have had Buddhas all around it, and you could have climbed up this, and they would have had probably like a relic inside of here. So they would have had a small little walkway, and there would have been another chedi over there. And you can see they would have had plaster, and then they would have had plaster here. So I thought this would have been bricks, but it's just the way that they did the styling. And they did put a little shelf of bricks right there to tie that onto. And this would have went all the way up, similar to the other one, like a bell-shaped chedi. And there would have been a little rail around the bottom of it down there also. And then you can see there would have been a moat right over there, and then some outer buildings, and then this nice ubosot. This is one we'll take a look at next. See the bases, they would have had the little marker stones, the little Bua Simas all around here. There would have been 8 around the building, and then one would have been buried underneath the Buddha inside. And you can see this would have had some nice styling right here. And this had 3 doors on the front and 2 on the back. And you can see the 2 in the back are bricked off. And then you see right here, this would have been a place for like a candle in the doorway. And it would have had the Ayutthaya styling up above the door. And this would have been a small little covered porch. Would have been like a slanted roof coming down. And then inside of here, you can see the Buddha would have been right over there on the west side of this building, facing east. And it doesn't look like there was any columns inside. These walls are quite thick, so this would have supported the roof. And they've bricked off these doors, so I don't know if that was to keep the sun off the Buddha image or what. But you can see right up there, look at that, that's a tree that's just started to take over that little corner. So someday that whole wall is going to be just undertaken by that whole tree. This building here was built in the late Ayutthaya styling, and it would have been slightly bowed in the middle. So the temple itself was built in early Ayutthaya, and a lot of times they would redo these buildings. They'd make them bigger, or they would start, falling down, so they'd have to do something. And the early Ayutthaya started out in the 1350s. That's when King Utong founded the city. And then it went into the middle Ayutthaya, and the late Ayutthaya was about the last 60 years or so before the city fell to the Burmese. And this, you can see the back doors would have been right there, and they're bricked off. Let's take a quick look here, and then we'll look at the chedi, and that's the main part of this temple. So this is the old Wihan, and it's another rectangular shaped building. And this would have been the outer wall of it. And then they would have had the Buddha images in right there. And this would have been the pedestal for the Buddha. This one here had the columns supporting the roof. So it would have been a lot more crowded, less spacious inside. So what's interesting is they have a laterite stone here on the site. So they say this temple building right here was restored 4 different times. And the laterite stone points to a pre-Ayutthaya era. That's what I would assume. You see a lot of those that would be built using those for the Khmer temples and stuff like that. I don't know if there was a Khmer ruin over in here or Dawadi. There was Dawadi settlements off to the east of Ayutthaya, but I don't know anything that was north. So you can see the partial Buddhas all right here. Now, it was pretty common for people to come over and behead these Buddhas. They would chop the heads of them off. Plus, looters would take anything of value out of here. You see people have came over here and left the water, burned the joe sticks. And then this is a little Buddha. That's the Buddha head and some of the arms and stuff like that. So they've put it right there. And it was a sandstone Buddha. Same up there, there's a head. It's kind of an interesting styling of that Buddha head. Yeah, you can see it. It's kind of a cool looking little part of it. And then the body. And they've put that piece of sandstone right here, and they've carved some marks on them. All right, let's look at this chedi now. This is a fantastic stupa. So you see right up there, there's little notches. They would have had Buddha images right up there. And then it would have went all the way up to that little spiral spire. And they say this style of chedi was very, very popular. It has an octagonal base, which is definitely Ayutthaya styling. But it was before the first invasion of the Burmese in 1569, the White Elephant War. This was a popular style of chedi. And then they would have had the relic inside of that little chedi. Oh, that is fantastic. And the locals have came over and they've wrapped it with that gold cloth. And you can see they have the wire there to keep the pigeons out, but they've moved it. And then we have some busy bees that are just starting to honeycomb right up there. This is nice. And it's in fantastic shape. So they built a small chedi inside of the big chedi, and that's where the relic was at. And then there was a small little porch right here, and then they had some smaller little chedis all around. And then over there was the ordination hall and the wihan. You can see a little bit more of the temple wall. And the wall separated the worldly kingdom from the heavenly kingdom, or the spiritual realm. And one last look at this chedi. Yeah, it's fantastic. There's some trees growing up there and a little bit of vines that are kind of taking over. And you can see a little bit of the plaster work, and then all the way down to the octagonal base. This is really, really nice. I'm just going to finish up a video over here at Wat Chong Krom. This is a really nice old ruin, and there's just nobody out here. So when you come around here, it is just perfectly quiet. There's nothing to disturb you. You can climb all around, look at all of these buildings, and it is quite nice. Now this is early Ayutthaya with some late Ayutthaya buildings mixed in. It's really in good condition. Early Ayutthaya, some of the stuff, and most of that you'll find on the north part of Ayutthaya. That's where the old Grand Palace was on the north side. So a lot of these ruins that are north on the island, plus a little bit north off the island, they'll be some of the oldest that you'll find out here. And they're just scattered up amongst these trees. There's rice paddies and houses and stuff out in the trees, but there's just nobody out here to disturb you. I really like coming and seeing stuff like this. So if you like it, smash the like button. I'll break out the drone and you can see some of that if I don't crash it into a tree anyway. And if you have any questions or comments, leave it down below. If you've been here or want to know something more about it, getting over here, you need to get into a tuk-tuk or ride a bicycle, you can get over here to it. And it's kind of hard to find, punch it into GPS. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, stick around, and you're notified when I post a new video. But anyway, from over here in Ayutthaya, remember, life is a journey. Until next time, enjoy.